Okay, good afternoon. Got the resolution right this time. So yeah, we've been doing a bit of design. I've spent the day doing a bunch of stuff with the artifacts, making them work for all characters instead of just the hero. This seems obvious to me now. This seems like this is obviously a good idea. Why didn't I do it before? I don't really know. I guess it's coming from what the genre is. So before, for example, critical summon is an artifact, which means that if you perform a critical hit, you have a chance to summon a unit. You have a chance to summon an ally. And this only applied to the hero. So when the hero would do a crit, it would summon an ally, right? I changed that to be that if any character does a critical hit, if any ally does a critical hit, then they have a smaller chance to summon an ally. I guess an easier one is like critical reset. Every time the hero does a critical hit, they have a chance to reset all of their weapons, returning the cooldown to 0. Now that is on a per ally basis. So if an ally does a critical hit, they have a chance also to reset their weapons. With me so far? And the reason I didn't do it before is because, I don't know, I guess it was coming from the genre, but I wanted to think about having builds that were player-centric. I wanted there to be a reason to invest in your character. I don't know, it's not clear to me why I didn't do it like that before. What this change does is it means that we're leaning more heavily into our USP, our unique selling point. Our unique selling point being the fact that you can summon allies. It's not immediately apparent from looking at the game, but this is the only game out there, the only survivors-like, where you can summon allies to fight for you, and what happens is they spawn at the same rate as the enemies do. So you can imagine vampire survivors, but if you summon bats, there's bats coming in as enemies. What if one of the abilities you unlocked was to summon your own bats, and they would fight the enemy bats, right? It gets kind of complicated. The reason people haven't done it before is I think it's very difficult to optimize for that, to have them all targeting each other and so on. But I have somehow managed it, not without some effort. So on the schedule today is for me to discuss that, because usually I work on stream, but today I worked a bit off stream, and I'm still in the middle of it. So now let's talk about talents. So we have a bunch of talents. Where's the best place to see these? So we go armor, and here's where we lay out our talents. Armor, rations is health, boots is speed, luck, range, attack speed, so on, right? In the past, this would only apply to the hero. But what I've recently decided is to make it so that it applies to all your characters. So if you get the armor upgrade, the armor of all of your characters, so your allies as well, will also go up. That just helps lean into the USP, makes it a bit more clear. And so before it was like, it was always a choice you were making. Should I invest in my hero or my allies? And I just want people to invest in their allies more. And, why not both? Why not both, right? So this is a big change that I've made. So one of the ways that I've done that, and we are really talking about spaghetti code here, but before this was the space where we had, where's space magic? So this was one of the space and time magic were some of the only instances where we had a talent which would buff all of the allies. It's the only time that happened in the game. This is in both places, right? Yeah, it's the only time where we had a talent which would buff allies rather than just the main unit. But now I want that to apply to everything. So I've just gone ahead and just basically copy pasted the whole thing. So armor is now also here. Rations are also here. Boots are also here. Ranged and so on. They're all here. So that every talent we get upgrades all of my army, not just my hero. And the same with artifacts. With me so far? Talents and artifacts. They boost stuff. They give you stuff. Basically stats and artifacts. That's the word that's used. That's the sort of commonly accepted thing. In Vampire Survivors, I think they are actually called talents. I'm not sure. It's the stuff that you get from the tarot cards. It's like extra powerful stuff. In Slay the Spire, I think they are indeed called artifacts, and I think in Monster Train they're also called artifacts. So these are sort of overarching things that are good for your character. Okay, so now that affects everyone. Good. Fairly simple. However, there's one issue. Let's discuss the artifact which was called Holy Killer. Sorry, Holy Crit. So what Holy Crit would do is it would... I'm not quite in the corner. What Holy Crit would do is it would mean that every time you crit, you would have a chance to heal your entire army, right? That's a bit crazy if everyone in my army has that. That's not going to work out. So we have to change a few of these ones. They don't all apply the same way. And I had a bit of a fork in the road. So which version should I go with? Should I make it so that it's basically the same for hero and allies? So in that case, we wouldn't have Holy Crit. We would just have Critical Heal, which is used to be when I do a crit, I will heal myself, or I have a chance to heal myself. Now, it's when any one of my allies does a crit, they will also heal themselves. Meaning that we're really rewarding a crit build, whether it's the hero or the allies, right? So one option is no special case for the hero. We're just really rewarding playing, like building up your army, leaning into our USP in terms of game design. The next way we could do it is heroic versions. So you could have the heroic version of the artifact, which means if you have... So this would be like Holy Crit, meaning... And it only applies to the hero. It doesn't apply to the allies, right? This would be a way to reward a playstyle that is hero-focused, right? That I'm playing the game, I don't particularly want to build up my army. I just want to play this game as if it's Vampire Survivors or Brotato. So I'm going to... Thank you, love. So I'm going to do it like that. The third option, and this is the one I went with, is special case for hero. So this means that when we have so for example, killer buff, it's whenever you kill something, you have a chance to buff yourself. It used to be that just for the hero, it used to just be the heroic version. If I kill someone, I have a chance to buff all my allies. I've changed that to if any of my allies kills anyone, they have a chance to buff themselves. But the hero will buff the entire team. Right? So why did I do it like this? I had to think about it. So no special case for hero. This just means we really lean into building up the army. We're leaning into the USP. Heroic versions means that we are sort of catering to a different playstyle, but also we're like flooding the... There's going to be lots of artifacts because there's going to be like a heroic version of each one. And then the last one is the main reason I wouldn't have done it like that with the special case for a hero is because of just adding too much text. But actually it's not too much text. We just say hero buffs all. In the case of killer mana. So anytime one of my allies kills someone, I get some mana. But if I kill someone, I get 5. Right? So it really is saying, I'm kind of instructing the player, like, this is about you and your army. This isn't about you. We could still have builds and ways to say, I want to invest in my hero. I don't care too much about my army. I want a sort of hero-focused build. You can still do that. You just pick weapons. And you just build up your weapons. You choose weapons. And the artifacts are still going to be applicable, right? So I've got critical artifacts. I'm going to choose allies that have high crit rates, and I'm going to choose talents that have crits, and that works for me and my allies. And if it's just me, it still works. If it's just my allies, it still works, right? So then we find it's easier to get synergies. So we have our... Yeah, it's just easier to get synergies. Right, so I've discussed... So I can knock these off the list. Show each artifact and talent change. Yeah, so I had to go through, change the text here. And it's a simple matter of... So we just go critical summon. That's the first one. So it used to say, is damager the player? Now instead, I ask, is the damager on the player team? And that will mean that, yes, this go ahead and check for these crit procs. Side note, I got rid of this as an achievement because it's kept it more simple. So if we have... So yeah, now we have critical summon. So I lower the overall chance. And I make the item burst. It was previously meant to just... So the item burst is the icon showing you that you have procced this crit, this artifact. You've procced it. I've made that. I just had to code it so that rather than just putting it over the player, when we ask for an item burst, we ask who is that going on, and we put it on them. And of course, yeah, we lower the chance. And I haven't gone... I sort of went through most of these. I just made sure they worked. So we have, yeah, critical summon, like the critical ones, the killer ones, the vengeful ones, which is when my allies die. This is where I started thinking about the other way of doing it, because in the case of a vengeful one, if my ally dies, they are not going to be... So it's like vengeful heal. If my ally dies, it's not much good to heal them because they're dead. So it would be, let's heal everyone. And that does end up just being, let's just heal everyone. It's just the hero version. So we've got lots of synergies that can happen. Obviously, Vengeful Heal synergizes with any of my holy... do we have holy? Yeah, with any of my holy ones. So any artifact that procs on a heal synergizes really well with another artifact which results in a heal, and of course it synergizes with a weapon or talent that does a heal. With me so far, this is all stuff that, like, I hadn't planned on doing it before the new year, but I figured, let's do this. This is fun. This is going to make the game better. I don't know why I didn't do it before. This is a good idea. And I thought about it, and I thought, yeah, okay, let's go ahead with this. It actually, for the most part, it doesn't really change. Like, if I wanted to change it back, it wouldn't be too difficult. But it is, I have to make it work in the first case. So the other thing I did was make that work for talents. And talents is an awkward one. It's basically when we spawn an ally, we need to give them this buff that does the thing. So I had to go through all of the instances where it basically, I just copied from where we add a new talent, and then so if I get the range talent, we give that extra range to the hero. I just added it to this area here where we've set it up to add a buff to an ally instance. This is a bit bad code, because probably they should be working on the same logic, but they don't, and they won't, because it's just easier like this. all the values are fairly uniform. So yeah, so then we have this aside described, and yeah, I need to go through, and that's one of the things I still need to code, is I need to go through and make it lesser or make it greater for the hero. So I need to write some exceptions. Okay, so I've discussed that. With the talents, it was fairly straightforward, and what we do is we offer half the value for the talent, if that makes sense. So where my hero will get 20% extra armor, 0.2, the ally would get 1%, and basically just gets half, right? That only needs to be explained once in the tutorial. Because all the player really needs to know is more movement speed, more health, more armor. Let's not get sidetracked and think about how armor and health are basically the same thing in terms of outcome. Can deal with that later. Yeah, so far so good, right? How do we really sell this improvement? So yeah, I think this makes the game a lot better. I think all of this is these are really big improvements, and this is a great design decision to have made. The other thing I want to do is make sure that players get an artifact right at the start of the game, which will just inform their build. Monster Train does that, and I think it's really effective. You will get an artifact right at the beginning of your run through in Monster Train before you do anything, and it just really helps inform which cards to pick, which cards not to pick, right? It just informs the rest of your build, and I think that's a good idea. I'm still going to make it something you unlock, but it's going to be one of the first things you unlock, and it's going to be mandatory to unlock it, because I really want players to definitely have this starting artifact. Because it's going to be great. You get a starting artifact, and your starting artifact is critical heal. Great. So now I know that I'm going to lean into a build all about critical hits. So I'm going to pick dagger. I'm going to pick crit. I'm going to pick rogue. I'm going to pick that there are others which will do crit. For example, I'm going to pick the witch. And I'm going to pick attack speed. Attack speed also really good one for crits, because the more I'm attacking, the more I'm critting, right? I'm also going to say, because I've got critical heal, maybe I don't need a healer, right? Maybe I don't need any healing. I don't need to buy the healing stuff, and I don't need the healer, because they're going to heal themselves. So I'm not going to pick a shield bearer. I'm going to pick people who are just going to attack, and they'll heal by doing crits. And as long as I can boost their crit rate to a really high amount, then they will do their own healing. This is all really good stuff, in my opinion. I think this is going to make the game better. And so how do we sell it? At some point, I need to update this UI, really make those artifacts beautiful, get inspiration from Ball Pit of just how these things look great, and they feel great, and they feel impactful. At the moment, it's not that impressive when you get an artifact. It's just a sort of grey on grey box. It's nice and simple design, but we really want to say these artifacts are powerful, and they really synergize with what you have. Again, similarly, if I get a holy artifact at the beginning, I'm going to pick all of my healing stuff. I'm going to get my healing staff. I'm going to get my healer. I'm going to get them both, right? It's no longer just pick one form of healing. It's like, no, if I'm going to get something every time I heal, let's lean into that. Let's get our chicken rain, so we're healing with that, and let's get luck, and let's get everything that heals, because if every time I heal, in fact, I should make a note of that, like a heal down. We've got like heal buff. Let's have a look. Just to give you holy. So these are all ones. I haven't edited any of these yet. I've edited the text, but not the substance. So holy summon. Every time you heal, anytime anyone is healed, chance for a summon to summon an ally. Doubly so for the hero. So if it's 5% for ally, it would be 2.5% for an ally, it would be 5% for the hero. So every time the hero heals someone, 5% chance. Anytime someone else, or maybe actually, that would be anytime a character is healed, not does a heal. Important distinction. Holy buff will, every time someone's healed, a buff will happen. Every time someone's healed, will gain some mana. Every time someone's healed, they will have their weapons reset. And if the hero is healed, they can reset the weapons of the whole army, right? Which can be very OP. I want to have one. So we need an artifact which does damage on healing. So we could say that anytime a character is healed, they will do damage to a nearby enemy, and maybe and do we have holy buff as well? Yeah, holy buff. They will do damage, and so you could have an army that wins by healing itself a lot. Right, I just think all of these are cool. This just adds a lot of gameplay variety. That I think this is going to be fun. It's a complete sidetrack to what I was supposed to be starting the year with, which is this. Right. So, important update. This is why it's good to take breaks. This is why it's good to take your Christmas holiday and not work during it and really actually just decompress and look at something else for a couple of weeks. Come back and you might find that you had your flies on. This is something that's really obvious. You had your flies undone. You had some spinach in your teeth. Something that's really obvious that should have been the case before. We actually add that to the to-do list. So the next thing on my list is to go through each artifact and make sure it's applied properly. So that's where I've left you, and there's a bunch of things that we're going to have to do. So for starters, it's going to be diligent and say go through each of these. So I need to find it in the artifacts, and I need to find it on the character or wherever it is. They can be in different places depending on the proc. And actually, I need to I also need to add the exceptions for the hero. There's a number of ways. So in this case, so that's 0.5%. Let's just say it's 1. So 0, 1. So this means it's a 1% chance. When one of my allies crits, there's a 1% chance we'll do a heal. That will summon an ally. So there's a couple of ways we could do this. We could say, so it would be like if dice is less than 0.1 times chance multiplier. So we would make a float called float chance multiplier equals 1f. And then we could say if damager dot is player, so if the one who did the damage is the player, chance multiplier equals 2, right? And then we just say this times chance multiplier. Is that easier? Is that quicker? Probably is, right? The alternative way to do it would be to just add, to just say if the dice is lower than it, just add the exception there. But I think this is fine. So critical summon, that works. double chance for hero. So critical heal. Okay, so this one is fundamentally different. Here it's not, we're not going to multiply it by the chance multiplier. We're going to say if damager.isPlayer, then something, otherwise just heal the damager, heal the person who did the critical hit. See, I've gotten rid of the, yeah, here we go. Holy crit, this does it differently. If the damager is the player, then, and there's a reason I have to do it like this, we make a list of characters if I put it on the team, I don't know why, but I think it's possible that by healing them they can end up off the list, or is that just a hangover from damage? I don't know. But this will do. Okay. For each character in heal list. Heal by, what did we say? To heal 4. Should we round that to 5? So every time an ally does a critical hit, they'll heal by 5. Every time a hero does a critical hit, they will heal all characters by 5. Right? We can also, and I think this is a good idea just to keep things tidy. Again, I'm just going to, I say tidy, heal all, and then we just need the number. Heal all allies. And float amount, or like heal amount. I don't know. And then we can say heal all allies by 5. And let's keep our Fs, because I find things get a bit weird if you don't always have. It's just good practice, I think. So then we take. This means that it's just going to be a bit tidier and easier to read. Okay. Critical summon. Good. Critical heal. 50% chance. Is that right? Is 50 good? I think I lowered the amount, so yeah. Let's say, yeah, let's do that. I'm going to need to balance these numbers. Yeah, 50% chance they'll heal themselves, and then if I do it, it's like a higher chance. And maybe we should lower this, right? 25%. Don't worry about the localization just now. And then we'll make it 10. Yeah, is that fair? Heal all allies 10. So if it's the player, heal all allies. If it's just a normal ally, then he'll just heal themselves. So we are converting crits into healing, which suddenly means that a healing artifact would be a very good idea to pick. I think these synergies are good. I think this works well. Okay, Holy Crit. So now Holy Crit is completely redundant. I'm not just going to comment it out, I'm going to delete it. It's redundant. It wouldn't be that difficult for me to say, oh, actually, no, I do want to split these up. I do want to go for, let's have a heroic version, or let's just go back to the old way. That's going to be easy to do, but let's keep things less messy. Okay, good crit is simple. All crits do more damage. Like, if you've got a crit build, this is a good one to have. Allies will do better crits, you will do better crits. It's yeah, hero agnostic. Critical buff. So and let's just double check. So let's stay with it. Critical heal, holy crit. I am just going to get rid of that. You can keep the sprite, that's fine, but good crit. You and your army will crit for double damage. Of course, that is there. Critical buff. 20% chance to gain a random buff on crit, and I'm going to decapitalize buff. In fact, I want to decapitalize pretty much everything. Even ally, summon a random ally on crit. I just want to decapitalize. So let's fold those up. Critical buff. 20% chance to gain a random buff on crit. Hero buffs all. Okay. So, 20% chance, correct. And we say so the item burst is fine. So again we say if damager is player, else, and make, and I've also made this distinction, this is something I added recently as a result of this. So make random buff used to be this, and then I've changed that to cast random buff. Yes, I know this was repeated, I know it's not commented out, I know it's awful code, but just bear with me. Cast random buff actually casts a buff like around you. I actually want to say like buff all. Buff all. So we're not making an AoE effect. We are saying random buff all. And I'm just going to be very, very crude. I'll do it like this, so it's like make random buff. Oh, hello. Yeah, so this would just be for each. Oh, no. We want to pick, so yeah, no, it's not going to be making use of make random buff because it's going to be wanting to give the same buff to everyone. So we get our random buff. I know. I should be, this is just to get the random buff depending on which faction we are. This can be tidied later. It's fine, don't worry about it. We get a random buff. Should I comment it out now? Get our random buff. And then we don't need this new list thing. We just want to go for each character in team 0 in GM team 0, so this is the player team. Add buff character dot add buff buff chosen buff So that's going to pick a buff and give it to everyone. Okay. Get our random buff. Add buff to all allies. Yeah. Okay. And then so back to critical buff. Critical buff would be buff all, yeah, random buff all. Done. Make random buff for 1. Make random buff for all. Okay. So far, so good. Critical buff, done. Okay. Critical mana. So again, I could do like a mana multiplier, but I think it's going to be easier to set to just do my exception. So if damager dot is player, else, and if it's ally, do it by 1. If it's the player, restore 5. Cool. Wow. Right, make item burst. Yep. So that's all good. Critical mana. 20% chance to... yeah, so that's critical buff. Critical mana. 20%, 25% chance to give hero... Should we just say gain? To gain 1 mana on crit, hero to give, to get 1 mana on crit, hero gets. Let's say give. To give 1 mana on crit, hero gives 5. Is that clear enough? Again, please tell me if I'm wrong, if it's not clear. Okay, critical mana. 25% chance. Oh, to restore. Restore, that's the one. That works. Yeah. 1 mana crit, hero restores 5. That's a good word. Okay, good. Stick with that. Critical mana. Okay. Critical reset. Again, this should apply to everyone. So this is a 5% chance. If damager... Well, it would always be for the player. So if damager is player, then for each character in team 0 in gm.c.team 0 damager.character.reset. I should maybe make a function for that, but I don't think it's worth it. So I could make a function which is just for that line, but I don't think it's really necessary. Okay, right, that's critical reset. Yep. Let's just do the else. It's not necessary, but might as well. Okay, the rain ones. Rain is something I got rid of. It's just, it didn't feel very powerful, didn't feel very good. It's like rain, like meteor shower or arrow shower or icicle shower, like a blizzard. It just, I don't know why, it just didn't work. Maybe I'll bring it back later. So that's why I'm keeping it commented out. Let's just do that so I can still collapse it. Okay. So those are the crit procs. Artifacts, critical reset. And actually we don't have critical rain here, so it's not selectable. Okay, good. So now the killer stuff. So we just go killer summon, just to jump straight to the bit where we want to see. And we say, right, killer summon, 10% chance to summon a random ally on kill. Double chance for hero. So we say dice is equal to that times chance multiplier. Oh, we need to do chance multiplier again. here. Chance multiplier. I can smell dinner and it's making me think about food. It's making me hungry. Okay, killer summon is the same. Oh, why are we spawning 3? No, we should spawn 1, right? Interesting. Make it item burst damager. Yep. So 10% chance or 20% chance to summon an ally whenever an enemy is killed by one of us. This won't apply if an enemy is killed by like status effect damage. We can always like mess around with that, but this is good for now. I really ought to not get sidetracked. Okay, killer summon, killer heal. Yeah, so this is already wrong. This should be heal the damager, not just the player. And this one on the right tells us who the source of the heal is from. I think the source of the heal is the damager as well. They have healed themselves. This used to be important. I think it's less important now. Whether it's the determining who the healer is, because of course it used to be that a player doing heal would proc certain things, so we needed to know. I think it's less important now, but never mind. So we have killer heal. So yeah, there's killer summon. Killer heal. 50% chance to heal 5 on kill. We're going to need to change that number. So let's make that like 25%. And it's, as a rule, it's always a chance, even if the chance is like 50 or 90%, because some of these things can proc themselves, right? Like if I have something like I buff when I heal and then I heal when I buff, that could go in a loop forever. So it needs to be on a chance, and I think just having them all on a chance is fine. So anyway, killer heal, and yeah, if damager is player, once again, else damager is player, then heal all allies by 5, like that. Yep. And yeah, it does it. The oh, and then we don't need that. That's good. And in this case, if it's a heal all allies, that means they were healed by the player. Again, doesn't matter so much anymore, but that would be the correct way to do it. So that's killer heal. Holy killer. Once again, this is now redundant. Back to killer G, killer heal. I really need to Lear to code. Right. Holy killer, not needed anymore. Killer buff. Once again, so yeah, is it 20%? 20%. Can always mess with those numbers later. That's going to be key. So damager dot make random buff. So once again, if damager dot, I could probably copy and paste it from here. Was that quicker? Probably would have been quicker to type it, right? Almost certainly quicker to type it. The longer, every second that goes by, it would have been quicker to type it. Definitely quicker to type it. Okay. Damager is player. Make random buff. And buff all. Okay, yeah. Killer mana. Killer mana. 50%. Hero 5. So if damager is player else and if it's the player 5 and if it's the ally 1, I think that works. Killer reset. So once again, reset. Critical reset. I get confused because I'm looking at that red, which is the bits that I haven't even touched yet. Okay. Killer reset, killer rain. We'll just cull that. Or no, yeah, we'll keep it. That killer explosion. Times chance multiplier. Let me double check. So yeah, killer mana, killer reset, resets all. Is that 5%? 1%, yeah, killer 5, yeah. 0.05. Killer explosion. 5% chance to explode, and I know for a fact that works. Those are the killer buffs, the killer artifacts. Vengeful. Okay, Vengeful has barely changed. Because Vengeful can't apply just to the person who did it. It always has to apply because they're dead. So Vengeful Summon doesn't make a difference. So if the hero dies, it's no different to if one of my allies died. Vengeful means if one of my allies dies, do something. Vengeful Heal, Vengeful Buff. And that will be a cast random buff. And do we have that? So 25% to summon a random ally on ally death. Holy Avenger. I think we're just calling it Vengeful Heal. So let's make a point of that. So just to keep the language consistent, means I think I'll have to reassign the sprite. Holy Avenger sounds damn cool, doesn't it? Oh, we actually did have it there somehow. Okay, I might need to remake the sprite. Vengeful Heal. Vengeful Heal. holy was the distinction. So heal usually meant just heal the person who did it, but holy meant heal everyone. But now we've kind of folded them together, and we're going to say there's a 50% chance to heal everyone. Because again, think about it. If there was like vengeful heal means I'm going to heal everyone, but then there's holy summoner, meaning we'll summon someone on healing them. It can get messy. Let's just always make sure that there's a chance. I don't mind it bouncing around a little bit, but I don't want it to bounce around forever. Okay, yeah, so 50% chance to heal. Ah, that shouldn't be there. And in the case of the vengeful ones, it would appear on the thing that died, yeah. For each character and teams, and then we can just do heal all allies. By how much? Heal all allies. I'm going to go ahead and say 5. Vengeful heal. Yeah. Here's a question. So there's like a version of things that's like, what if whenever an ally died, it healed your hero significantly, but no one else? That sounds like a demon thing, and that sounds like a entirely different angle for the demons, which would be more like a character trait, right? Yeah. So again, vengeful, similar to summon. I mean, vengeful just rewards you for having lots of summoning. It rewards you for picking more allies. It also would reward a specific faction or character build that is getting lots of little allies. For example, like necromancers, like an undead, would be summoning lots of weak units rather than fewer strong units. The people who wouldn't benefit, like if you're playing as the orcs, as the green beans, and you've got an army of orcs which spawn in slower but are stronger, this would be a bad pick for you. But if you've got an army of goblins and also one of your weapons is the goblin launcher, then this would be a good pick for you, right? All the vengeful stuff. Synergies. That's what makes good games. So vengeful heal, correct. Vengeful buff, correct. Did we do that? Vengeful buff. Yeah. Vengeful buff. Yeah, that's all working. We will absolutely be needing to tweak these percentages just so that it's balanced. I don't want one of these to be too much better than the other in a vacuum. Obviously, the one that synergizes with what you've got is always going to be the best. So yeah, vengeful heal, heal all allies by 5. Vengeful mana. Again, there can't be a distinction between hero and ally because the hero ain't going to be dying. If a hero dies, it's game over. So that's what the difference. So instead of 1 to 5, just 3. Whenever an ally dies, we have a 50% chance to gain. What's that? Yeah, 50% chance to gain mana. And this would come from the person that died, which is this. Okay, yeah, seems good. Vengeful reset. This is a tricky one. This is an interesting one. So whenever an ally dies, who resets the weapon? I'm going to delete it. And then rain, I'm going to comment it out. And it's not even in here. And explosion, I mean, explosion's damn cool. We're going to keep that. It also gives a debuff, being that it sets people on fire, and it is a good idea. So 25% chance to explode when they die, 20% chance for allies to explode when they die. Again, really would reward a build that has lots of allied units. Flaming Death. This is on my list of things to change. At the moment, it's if they're on fire, but I feel like that really is too specific. Is it? I don't know. Yeah, it's powerful. Because we're like really rewarding someone to have a fire build, and I think that's something. But I do think it's a bit too niche, maybe. So it would be nice to have, yeah, we can have Flaming Death, but we should also have Buff Death. And I have already made a note of that. So yeah, first step is to go through each of the existing artifacts and just make sure they're correct. Flaming Death is fine. And it should happen on the person that died. Meaning, if something dies and it's not on the player team, if an enemy dies and it's on fire, it should explode. That works. Okay. Vengeful artifacts, killer artifacts. What's next in here? Holy. And is these holy? That's correct. Oh. Ugh. So now all of the artifacts that proc when someone heals. So whenever an ally is healed, we have a chance to summon another ally. Double chance if it's a hero. So let's get our chance multiplier bit. Can always optimize this later. We shouldn't be making throwaway floats, but I don't think it's going to make a difference. Can optimize it later if it's needed. And right, healer, if healer dot is player. No. Not if the healer is the player. If the person healed is the player. No. Not because it used to be if the player heals someone, these will proc. But I think it should be if anyone heals someone, this will proc. So if healer's not equal to null, no, it doesn't matter if the healer's null. If anyone is healed, yeah. Number burst. Okay, yeah, that's for the heal numbers. Let's put this inside here to do with the artifacts. So if someone is healed, summon them. If the hero is healed, yeah, so if someone is healed, chance of summoning something. If the hero is healed, double chance of summoning something. Seems about right. Spawn ally. Why? Oh, the three. Okay, so spawn ally. That's the radius. Not the number of allies to spawn. And who should get the? It would be this. So it's in the character that is being healed. It should be the center of the little sprite with the icon of the artifact. Okay. we can just quickly go in and just pop that in for all of these make item bursts. Make item burst is a little script that gets a sprite of any kind and puts it above something and makes it go. Okay, holy summon, holy buff. So I'm gonna stack these a bit. So we have holy summon, holy buff, chance to hero buff assault, holy mana, hero gains 5. Cooldowns and heal, hero resets all. Okay, that's simple. Summon, buff, mana, reset, rain, no. Rain, comment it out. Summon, buff, mana, reset. Yeah, so summon, double chance. Buff, oh yeah. Yeah, make random buff. If this player random buff all. Yeah. Holy mana. If this player right, let me reset. And I will copy paste this time. Reset. Okay, and rain, yeah. Okay, yeah, that works. Mana, reset. Chicken, these don't need to change at all. These all work just as they are. Chicken reset's not good, chicken rain's not good. Ultimate, again, doesn't need to change. It's the same. I should make all this the same. This is very minor details here, but yeah, just decapitalize everything. Or recapitalize everything. I don't know. Just want to make it the same. I'm not thinking about style right now. I'm thinking about substance. Flaming death. So this is our 10% chance for enemies to explode when burning. Frostbite. Frozen enemies take 20 more damage. Big pierce. Chain. Big chain. Where is that actually taking effect? Okay, that's where it takes effect. Big chain, big melee. Again, these are all... Okay, so the buff ones. So these ones we do need to think about. Oh, and then we're done. Then we're done with the first thing on the list. There's still loads to do, but okay, so so where do we have buff summon? Have I even done this yet? Yes, I have. Okay, so this is add buff on trigger and okay, so this is where the AoE effect adds the buff. This is not the correct place for it. We need to double buff. So double buff. These should be taking place at the point of buff. Yes. Yes. These should be taking place at the point of buff. So this would be character. Add buff. So double debuff does take place here. That's good. And yeah. No. Double buff would appear, like, so the little sprite would appear on the character receiving the buff. Yeah, probably should go on the one doing the buff, but we haven't stored that. We don't store who does the buff here. Let's make sure, where's the bit where the actual buff gets added? Okay, it's there. Buff artifacts. This all goes. There's nothing in here. But we do still need the buff to happen. Of course, it's getting late, so I'm in danger of doing damage to the project, but so I'll take it nice and slow. Yeah, add the buff. So if it's a debuff, let's put this on the outside. Just so it's nice and clean. I think that just feels better. So if it's a debuff, if we've got double debuff and the buff is a debuff, double the value. If we've got double buff and it is not a permanent buff, as in it's not from a talent or a leaf permanent upgrade, and the buff is indeed not a debuff, then buff value, then double the buff value. And we want this there too, double debuff dot sprite, and in each case it would be appearing on the thing. So these double buff. This shouldn't be here. This is a hangover from before. If is player. No. It's a hangover from before. Buff artifacts. Yeah. Let's call it buff procs. So these can actually go here. Double debuff, double buff. Those ones stay the same. We're just making the value double in these instances. And then let's just go right down and say buff value. So buff value. We'll have to go outside here. Okay, we don't need this because we've already done that. So we are returning if it's not a real buff. We're returning if the player or if the character already has the buff. And we need to be declaring this outside. Yeah. Okay, let's just do the item burst for each case, just to clear these errors. And it would indeed be on the person being buffed. Yes, it would. Okay. So we can say double debuff, double buff, buff summon. Let's grab chance multiplier. Let's grab this bit of code. And so are we thinking that if the damager, if is player, if the buffer is the player, so maybe we do need to store who has done the buff. Yeah, I also need to figure out this visible thing, so I want to make it so that fewer of them are visible. Okay. If the player is buffed versus if... So I don't think it should be if the player is buffed. I think it should be if the player is doing the buffing, although that's quite rare. Maybe we shouldn't even think about whether the player is doing the buffing at all. Right? So it would be like the vengeful ones. Is that consistent? Just because it's quite rare, it's very rare that the player will be doing the buffing. It's very, very rare that the player will be doing the buffing. That would require a very specific set of events. And if the player is buffed, it doesn't really make a difference. Game design. My instinct is that it shouldn't matter. For crits, it does matter. It does make a difference. It is cool. For heals, I think it should be Holy Summon. Yeah, I think actually it does matter who is doing the healing. But what if the healer is null? That can happen. So I mean, that's fine. Maybe we should just do the full long form healer is equal to gm.player, because then it will still work if it's null. Right? Because it would say if gm.c.player is null, that's never going to be the case. So yeah, if healer is equal to gm.c.player, that's what it should be. Yeah. Because then we're rewarding, like I say, it is quite likely that the player will be the one doing the healing. Yeah, that's fixed that. Okay, let's have a quick scan. Does it matter if the player is doing it versus someone else? Well, if the player dies, no. The player's doing the healing. It's not if the player is healed, it's if the player is doing the healing. If the player is doing the killing, if damager is player, if player is doing the crit, yeah. And those are likely, those are very common occurrences. But the buffing, you have to go into quite a specific build if you want to do buffing. But then maybe I should change that. Maybe there should always be a weapon available to the player that does buffs. Not just a combined one, but a weapon that does buffs. Because then we could really lean into if the player is the one doing the buffing. Otherwise, we just leave it blank. We just don't have any different circumstance. My instinct is that the player should have access to a buff from the word go. I'm now looking at this page on my Miro. This is my easy way to... Why is this bigger than the others? It's my easy way to edit buffs. Sorry, my easy way to edit the upgrades that a player can have. So I could get rid of one of these and change it for a buff. So there would be like a little rule that all factions should have one thing that is a buff. So we would get rid of one of these. Could the shield be the buff? They've all got a tier 2 one, which is a buff. So like each faction should have one heal, one buff, and the rest is free. So yes, here's your heal. Let's never mind undead for now. We haven't made them yet. So yeah, orcs have got their chain heal. We've got our healing stuff. Orcs have got their shield. We've got our Shield. Could the shield be modified to be a buff instead? Can we sacrifice any of these? Not really. They're all sort of the bow, the hammer, the spear, the dagger, the sword. These are all like archetypes. Like we can't really get rid of any of them. It would be quite easy to say, yeah, well, the orcs don't need a plank. Huh. This is in the game now. It's probably a good place to leave it so I can think about that. Does the heal count? Does the healing stuff count as a buff? No, I think the answer is to not make it any different if the hero is doing it, or if the healer is doing it, or if an ally is doing it. We say anytime someone's buffed, there's a chance to summon an ally. Anytime. Does that make buffing things less? I mean, I guess it could still apply because the hero, both the orcs and the humans do have a buffing item. It's just tier 2, so the orcs get a guitar, and do they still get that? Orcs guitar, yeah, and the humans get the scroll of inspiration. So maybe that's fine. Maybe that's just how that works. Yeah. Yeah, the orcs get scroll of inspiration. So we can get scroll of inspiration. And then the other source of buff would be when it comes from an artifact. So like or is it just that it's just a rare event and it's fine? So it won't happen very often. You'll have to pick. Like generally, it won't happen like that. But if you do buff others, and the thing is, when you're buffing others, you're doing it a lot. It's going to proc very often because you are the one doing it. You're going to be consistently getting that proc to occur. What's all this? Ultimate. Oh, yeah, that's fine. It's easy. Yeah, I mean, you're still like going for a buff build. So, yeah, I think the same rules apply. So that would be buff summon would be times chance multiplier. Buff heal would be just heal the character, and the healer is the one doing the buffing. Yeah, so we need to record. Let's just put it both of these cases, and I am going to leave it there. And I think the thing to do is, yeah, so we need to go through each artifact, make sure it's applied properly. No, we can be more specific. So mark and permanent marker may need to change. Yeah. Artifact which does damage on healing or overheal. to add for all buffs, debuffs. Or not. Yeah, not. Summoner artifacts, every time something is summoned. That should chance this buff. And then could we record who is the buffer? No, it's when someone is buffed. So who gets the, well, who is the healer? Because of course that does matter, because if the player is the one doing the healing, then there's a higher chance of the thing proccing. And the healer really is the person who buffed them. So yeah, we ought to record that. So yeah, record who is doing the buffing on add buff as it's needed for artifact. Okay, that's that. Alright, thank you very much for joining. Please do like and subscribe if you're having a good time. Going to be adding different bits of content to this channel about little points about game design and things like that. And yeah, producing this entire game on stream. So hopefully you're enjoying that. Thank you very much.